And we're back with another Power Rankings, this time of December 2022. Yeah, let's get to it. This one, we have the beginning of SE Zidane. I'm not really going to include that one here. We're pretty early on. People have played different numbers of games. We do have a few players in round 3, which is very close to guaranteeing an icon. I believe round 4 winners semifinals is guaranteed a top 8 finish, but we're not quite there yet, and I want to give it more time. There are going to be so many rounds and losers that we're gonna have so much coming out of this that I think for now I'm gonna mention it for players if they're still in winners, but it's not going to be more than like a tiebreaker of two of very similar resumes. We still have the Fun World Cup finals. After I wrote this, they did start playing it. They tied 3 games, but it is not yet going. I got to record one of the games. I thought it was an interesting one. Sadly, I didn't record for the second game, which I thought was even more interesting. But interesting match so far. But neither will get any credit for that here because they're taking too long and they didn't finish it. I need to give credit for, when games are played. No new GBs were played, but one weekly open was. I've run a tournament that's about halfway done. I'm just going to include it next month. Normally, about the halfway point is when I start including, but it's really more when I start considering including. And I decided there's only been one decisive game. Let's just leave it. Backhander League has effectively finished. There's a couple games left that could be played, but I think can't affect anything. And the other really big event this month is the Fun Christmas GB. I'm going to assume the current top 4 holds. It is possible if Slash wins his final 5 games that he outright wins the tournament. And if he wins like 3 of them, then he is probably breaking into the top 4 and should be included here. So I'll boot who's ever in 10th if that happens and move Slash up. Vialva also has a chance to break into the top 4 if he wins his final 3 games. So both would need big runs to do so. And I will say in advance, talking about Fun GB, no one's really gone on the big win streaks that like Yevon went on last year. But I think part of that is just this is a much stronger field. I think it is a smaller and tougher field. And you can see that if you check, for instance, the second place finisher in this year's finished like 4th last year or lower, but actually got more points per game. The third place finisher this year also came 3rd last year, but got significantly more, was 2 points per game last year. Points per game meaning 3 for a win, 1 for a tie, 0 for a loss, and is 1.7-ish this year. In fact, no one hit 2 this year, and last year 2 came 3rd, 2 points per game. And this is not to say last year was better or more dominant. It is to say this year, I think, had a really tough field, and it was really hard to separate yourself from that field. And I want to commend the players that did. But it also makes me think Slash and Vialva are unlikely to go on the win streaks necessary. And yeah, also, you didn't get your games done. I mean, they may actually before the end of the month, but they didn't before I was recording, so there. So 10th, we have Piggyman. This spot could be really up in the air. You could have argued it a few different ways. But 6th in Backhander League ended up being what I thought was the best resume. If Slash of Time or Vialva makes a run, we will be booting Piggy. I do want to say, though, I voted Piggy for the Best Sportsmanship Award. He has won it many times and really deserves it. What a lovely guy. 9th, we have Dalamar, semi-finalist in Chat Tournament 33, and he's still in Winners of Zidane. A nice showing, but slightly worse than the very similar case of Sir Smokes, who was also a semi-finalist, but is into round 3 Winners of Zidane. Now, it's possible Dalamar catches up to him by the time this video comes out, but can't do anything about that. We have our 8th and 9th place finishers. In 7th, we have Addy, who came 5th in the Fun GB. You may say top 5 in the Fun GB, that's not as good as top 4 in a chat tournament, but I think it's pretty clearly substantially better, right? To come top 4 in a chat tournament, you need to win 1 round. To come 5th in the GB, he put up 21 points over 14 rounds, which is 1.5 points a round, which is very good. That's not like an average score because it's not 3-1.5-0. It's a 3-1-0 system, and there were a lot of ties this time round. So putting up a score that good was very strong in GB. He also, this will count for next month, but he knocked Akiyama out of the 34th chat tournament. And I think he's just been playing exceptionally well. And It's quite a strong 7th place finisher here. In 6th, we have Dalial, and you could argue him as high as about 4th. Coming 3rd in the Fun GB, putting up 1.7 points a game there. Really solid showing. His final game not yet played, but he's gonna come 3rd or 4th there depending, but most likely 3rd. He currently has the lead there. And yeah, just tough field, tough finish. Like, it would be perfectly reasonable to say, you know, Dalial's the best player in the field, he should win. But that field was really tough, and the best player in the field means you think they have like a 20% chance to win, various chances at other spots. He put up a really nice result, and you could easily have him a few spots higher here than I do. In 5th place, we have Yevon, who is in round 3 of Winners in Zidane, which is eventually what had me eke him over Dalial here, and runner-up in Backhander League. I value the Fun GB a little more, though both had a whole bunch of games, because Backhander League is more this strategic handling of stipulations, while Fun GB is kind of pure, how well do you handle these randoms? So, you know, I have biases, they do shine through. But I ended up giving the nod here to Yevon, despite my biases the other way. So that's growth and morals and whatnot. Anyways, in 4th, in a similar group to Dalial and Yevon, we have Tezuka, who made a finals in a chat tournament, as well as having not spectacular, but very respectable finishes in both Backhander League and GB. Normally I only credit top 4, but these were bigger events, and thought that was worth noting. And I think that ekes him over them, but you could order these 3 any order depending what you valued. Really easy to assign different numbers to each and get whatever order you'd like. This is the one I went with. You know, yell at me if you want. No one ever does yell at me, but you should. I make dumb decisions. Yell at me. 3rd, we have Turds, the first person to really shine in 2 tournaments, coming 2nd in the Fun GB. I think he came 4th or 5th last time. In fact, with a better score per game. But again, I think this field was really challenging. And I'm pretty sure he comes 2nd regardless of Dalial's result. It's possible Dalial can pass him. They could be tied on points if Dalial wins his final game. Maybe. I forget. Something like that. But anyways, Turds gets 2nd. And 3rd in Backhander League as well. Makes him clearly a touch ahead of the previous crew. Even if it was 3rd and 3rd instead of 2nd and 3rd. Yeah, really nice showing for Turds. Just very consistent high scorer across all tournament types he plays. And we have our top 2, and I think there is some argument here. We have Akiyama and Vid, who I listed in alphabetical order. Akiyama wins Chat Tournament 33. He wins Backhander League with a 4-point margin, which was pretty big there, as well as he comes 4th in the Fun GB, and maybe has a slight chance at 3rd there. Though also has a chance to drop if Slasher Vialva goes on a run, but, you know, we're ignoring them. He's 4th. And he's in round 2 of Winners of Zidane, facing Dalial. One of them will help their case there, one of them will hurt it, but we'll just talk about that next month. On the other hand, we have Vid, who came back, you know, wasn't here immediately in the return, comes back, I guess, a touch over a year later, and immediately takes on this, you know, 14-round round robin, and wins it. Puts up 26 points in 14 games, almost 2 points a game. Wins it straight up, and comes 4th in Backhander League, and he's still in Winners of Zidane. And I know not a ton of people, I don't know how many people picked him to go deep. I know he wasn't one of the really popular picks to win, but he is the only player to have won a double round robin closed tournament. In the closed evidence we have, I think he has the highest win rate of anyone who's played multiple closed tournaments. There's a case for Broccoli as a more successful closed tournament player, mostly on the back of TTAC, but also having had good runs in closed tournaments. There's a case for Dalial being up there, but right now, as I think I said in my video, I would have Vid as the best performer in closed tournaments of anyone ever. And, you know, he's here back for another one, and I'm really curious to see what he can do. So I think these are strong cases for both of them. In general, they both got 1st in one of the Fun GB and Backhander, and 4th in the other one. Vid won the one I'd value more. Akiyama won the one I'd value less. But on the other hand, Akiyama also won Chat Tournament 33. So I think it's got to go first Akiyama, second Vid, but it's a little closer than it looks. And that's my power ranking this month. And yeah, I don't have a yearly thing. I did scores for last year, but I didn't keep track of tournaments well enough this year. I have a list. I could probably figure it out. I may at some point. But I kind of gave up on the quarterly rankings as I lost some steam. But I am starting to play a bit more, and maybe as I gain steam, I'll be back with stuff like that. I'm not sure I will, because the monthly feels like enough for this for me. And we're gonna see what the awards voted on are. I think I'll say what I did because I think voting should basically be over when this comes out, and also I don't really think it influences anyone. There wasn't a Player of the Year vote, and I don't know where I would have gone on that. Probably can't vote for yourself, but I think I have a case, even though I disappeared, because the end of Nephilim was this year, and Triad Wars was this year, and 2 tournament titles is very good. I think Tezuka winning a tournament is a huge deal, and Tezuka is also on a really long icon streak at this point that I think would make him a really worthy winner. I think Piggy Man played some of the best triple triad of the year. I think also Akiyama, Delial, and Seto all played really incredible triple triad. Akiyama probably won more events. Akiyama and Deli, because Deli won so many GBs, probably won the most events. But I think Seto played very, very well. And I think Piggy played very, very well and did it more. And making his first finals was really cool for him. So there's about, how many players did I say? About 6, I think, really standout players for it. Somehow I didn't even say Turds, who has almost certainly won the 3rd most events and gone deep the 3rd most times, and Yevon and others. But I would probably Seto didn't play enough. I'd be between the other 5, and really depends what you value. If it's pure tournaments, it's probably me. But if it's kind of the excitement of their tournaments, it's Tezuka. If it's a player that just played phenomenally across all the events they played, I think Piggy really deserves a shout. Akiyama was probably the next best in pure tournaments and so good in secondary tournaments, minor tournaments. And Delial just so dominant in GBs. I think it could go to any of those 5 and it would be a well given award. For other awards, sportsmanship, I said Piggy. I'm gonna forget what the other awards are. Community contributor, I think Dalamar is. It's a problem that fundamentally, because he exists, he should always win the award, and he deserves it. Yeah, and that's rough for me, who's really trying, but I think it's Dalamar, and well deserved. He does so much for all of us. For the big 3 awards, because they're the other ones I keep in mind, I don't really know for most improved. I didn't see enough. But for the big 3 awards, for best closed, I think it's just Delial. And I don't think there's a very good case for anyone else. I think if we were further in Zidane, there could be a case there. I think TTAC, Tezuka was really good at close there. And I think maybe TTAC makes an argument for Tezuka. But you just look at the GB win rates Delial puts up, the scores he puts up week after week after week. And some of it comes from he sometimes plays, random open closed and he really dominates the open. But a ton of it's in closed. And I think we have like 1,000 games of it now. And his win rate is just insane. I think it's Deli. I don't think it's very close. I don't really understand why anyone would vote for anyone else. I think, obviously, people like Addy will always have a case. Zoom is very good at closed. But we have a player doing it in competitive formats week in and week out and just crushing. And so that will always be my take. For best open, I was torn. I've done a bunch of stats, both in tournaments and outside of tournaments. And I do think the players I mentioned before, and let's exclude myself because can't vote for yourself. of Delial, Akiyama, Piggyman, and Seto played at consistently incredibly high levels throughout the year. And Delhi probably had the worst major tournament results in that he's the only one there who didn't make a finals. But his level of play, you actually look game to game and against who he faced, is just as high as any of the others. I think really hard to separate there. I was going to vote for Delhi, and maybe just to vary it up because I've basically voted for Delhi every year I've ever voted on Best Open Player. I think I probably have. But I thought, given how many open tournaments he's won, in a similar way to Delhi's case for closed, I wanted to vote for Akiyama. I also felt bad that I didn't vote for him last year, but last year I just felt like Delhi's the best at open, Delhi's the best at closed, so Delhi must be the best all rounder. How could I sneak in Akiyama, who I think had a fantastic 3.5 months in the return last year? And I kind of wanted to send a vote that way, and I think he played so well. And I think especially in this last 3-4 months of the year, looking at tournaments, it's felt to me like he is the favorite in tournaments he enters, and I should be true to that and vote him for Open Player of the Year this year. And then for best all round, I mean, this was an easy vote for me because I thought there's someone miles ahead in closed, and they're like millimeters behind in open. So of course, I think Delial is clear best all rounder and by a decent margin. And those were my main votes. And don't want to influence anyone here, so this is after I think most people have gotten in their votes. But I felt like there were a bunch of ways. Oh, for clan of the clan or clan leader of the year, I think it was clan of the year is up there. I voted Brotherhood of Seed. They won Clan League, and I think their clan very visibly shows real camaraderie, and clearly their chat is a popping place, and that's cool and good. I think they deserved it. I think they deserve it. I don't know who won. Sleeping Ninja is going to win Best New Player. And I also think Sleeping Ninja has improved throughout the year, and that's something I like to see in a new player. So I think that's going to be a nice win for them. And gosh, I'm just blanking on the other words. Really should bring it up, but I think we'll call it here. I just wanted to talk about this because I did a numerical scoring for Best Players of the Year last year, and this year I think it would be, depending on how I weighted things, but if I went with similar weights to last year, probably Akiyama 1, Delhi 2, Turds 3 for Player of the Year. But you could certainly come out with a form that would have, Tezuka or Piggy higher or Yevon or, again, many other players who had really nice years. But given that I didn't put the effort in there, wanted to talk a little about who I think earned it this year. I'm also really excited to see Vid back. I think I missed a lot of him. I saw him playing really well, but I was gone by the time Nanaki happened. I was gone when Garland happened, and last time I saw him play was when we played, I think, in the quarterfinals of Rufus. And yeah, it's nice to see him as an elite player. I always want more really strong players here. So yeah, I guess that's all I got to say this time around. And cheers.